Oh, it's nice to be live. Excellent. I think we're going to be pretty clear today and celebratory because things are crumbling all around us as these globalists sit and take their petty amounts and spend them forcefully, creating air money from air like a digital economy should, and spending that money down these fucking ridiculous corridors of ineptitude, failure, isolation, poverty, deprivation. And the rest of us are sitting here going, oh my God, when is it going to fucking finally dawn on you people that, well, your shit stinks. And we shouldn't have to put up with it. It doesn't make any sense. You can't just surveil and copy and take all these. Like, for example, when the QR code set out to implement itself behind the reset that I programmed and that will never be changed, the QR code was meant to bioenergetically locate you and stamp you with a hertz frequency and have that work into the coding so that that QR code followed you to the bottom of every receipt and held a digital copy of your records that was unregulated, came from no country, was put forth by tyrants, terrorists, depraved people. And we were supposed to sit there and just take it and be bioenergetically locatable and isolatable at any second. It was a terrible plan and it failed miserably behind the covoid. So ultimately, that battle was won by me. Elon Musk is lying when he says AI is solving these equations that humans couldn't. No, when he hijacked me and approached me without permission and forced me into 75 logical equations, which I solved impeccably, it's because the computers couldn't solve those equations and they were solved by me. And it was a brilliant psychic masterpiece. And I did it because I'm a channel. And Christ rode in a battle that was to take place in this time period. And it was a battle between a Christian saint who had just lost her husband and death itself. And I just witnessed that battle. I allowed for the battle to happen. I nullified a very violent psychic force, disincarnate entities who came on to me and forced me to solve these puzzles. It wasn't nice behind everything you see failing in front of you. The AI monsters who are trying to replace everybody and relegate a whole sector of the population to life without opportunity, life without the right to have a common impulse. 1/5 the population, that's what they're cultivating. That's why they unleashed the fentanyl. That's why they allowed the development of all these drug trades. But Canada, you did a dirty thing this week when you fucking went to the States and blocked drug information from the Shield of America. You blocked information about drugs, and that's wrong. If you have that information, you need to be acting on it. You're just so corrupt, Canada. You're just so corrupt. This Mark Carney guy is so set on 1.5 billion, but that's nothing to a man like him. He wants hundreds of billions of dollars, and he'll stop at nothing to get it. But what we're watching is a complete dissolution of the United Nations into all of these different factions that are trying to solve problems with weaker communication structures. It's just bloody mayhem out here right now, and so many people. are being let down on a daily basis by this clown town. It's total clown town. And I'm going to run again. Remember, the last time I tried to run for politics, I tried to run provincially in Ontario, and I got myself, before I knew I was a conservative. I'm a conservative, by the way. I was going to run again in Ontario, but I got yanked off the street for the entire duration of the election campaign and kicked out the other end. Because Doug Ford was pissed at me because I had busted up a fake protest of his. I found it ironic yesterday watching him on air when he was like busting up the pro-Iran protest. And I looked at him and I knew he was thinking of the time where I had busted up his fake protest of the COVID. The trucker convoy was real and disruptive, and in a country where the narrative is so pre-programmed and so completely state controlled, oh, Canada, you definitely had better citizens than what you gave us. We were capable of so much more, and your last mandate has been yet unrealized. We want to share resources so we can eradicate poverty and assure resource stability for all. Sharing resources meaning sharing technology, sharing the know-how amongst the impoverished so that they can build their infrastructures and find their way out. And if you don't want to be taken seriously as if you want to be taken seriously as the only person able to print money, the only source able to print and direct the flow of money, then you have to fucking realize we're sitting here compromising a lot for you. Total slavery so that our data can be harvested and made the stuff of AI. Like, you're fucked. That is so fucked. Bitcoin, buy in $1 for every 3. Do you know how many American dollars it took to fucking build that ridiculous conglomerate? It was perfect under Proton. Everything was perfect when it was the main trading coin. We had our own private data and a direct-to-market access point, and we had contactless payment, and it was all password protected and completely impenetrable. You don't need a second copy of your data or digital assets stored. These AI data centers make no sense. We're not having them constantly churning up data to make AI. It is ridiculous. The whole thing is as ridiculous as trying to get to space. There is no space, guys. It is the observable reality. You're going to affect it every time you project into it. You're affecting what you observe, and that's why you're getting nowhere. Because the way out of this place is to stop fucking with the core frequencies in a detrimental way and start relishing in the understanding of core frequency and replenishing everything effortlessly. The new synthetic is a light-based model where the components can be combined and manufactured in real time. The components of any living, it's all living, any structure, any compound, all you got to do is break it down to its cellular level, or expand it, find its Hertz frequency, convert the light into sound, find the Hertz frequency, and you've got a pinpoint. You've got a component number that is now a Hertz frequency, and you can plug that number into some equations and get some really fantastic stuff from a 5D printer. From a 5D printer, bud, you can do it. We can do it. And then we synthetically print things. We make things, everything gets made from synthetics, but not dirty synthetics, pure light synthetics. That's what the kind of realm you're dealing in. You're dealing in pure light synthetics, and you can't even realize it yet because for 100 years they've been exploiting. Through vaxes, vaxing out hair loss, that's a vax thing. They fucking back. It's gross how every single ailment has been programmed into the human psyche by vaxes. They just have chemical concoctions which understand Hertz frequency and counter those Hertz frequencies to cause damage. Oh, you're probably going to yank me off YouTube for saying it, but it's the facts. It's the facts, and we have to start dealing with it. Facts mean prepping the immune system or altering the genes means nothing. You're not altering the genes. You've been altering the genes for 100 years, but genes are part of the cell, and every single part of the cell carries the same core frequency. Is at the core, that cell is pure light. And if you can get it to that level of magnification where you can see the light, you can turn that light into a hertz. And the level of magnification was created 100 years ago. That's not an electron microscope. It's not. The level of magnification needed is going to have to be recalibrated. We're going to have to retry. This whole revolution is going to have to come over the next 50 years when people start to realize, hey, that's a lot of retardation we're dealing with. And then watching the social program fucking make vegetables of us all, relegating us all to isolation in our homes where our only source comes from whatever we're blessed enough to be able to plug into. It's really dumb and it really sucks. Thank you to my listener. I finally had somebody listening, which was nice. But I'm here to talk this stuff out because it's really hard to be silent when you can see so clearly. And it's just so easy. It's just so easy to come together on cooperation, resource stability, an assumption that we're going to create money at some point, and feed projects so nothing gets disrupted. But we're just going to start doing that in a more equitable fashion. Whereas these impoverished people, if they're sober enough, can be trained and employed to facilitate the infrastructure development of these impoverished people. And if it makes money, it makes money. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It can be nonprofit for now, and it trickles down eventually into paychecks. We don't want to disrupt that process of limitlessly creating wealth and just yet. We can eventually get assets only, debt-free economic cooperation in the world. That's 50 years out, but only because of these stubborn assholes won't give up the mic. It's only because these stubborn assholes won't give up the mic. And that is a problem, and we have got to fucking deal with that problem at some point. But when we have this limitless economy and we have a proper control group that does not get any vaxes, and it can see how the human being adapts to the viruses that come our way, allegedly, and killed so many people in the ICU, and we're supposed to be threatening more from the same source. Somebody that planned for a virus, somebody that meticulously wet dreamed of a virus, only to have the perfect virus show up and kill a bunch of people in the ICU for a very brief period of time before a brand new technology in vaccines was rolled out, and it happens to alter your genetic code. No, it doesn't. It's attacking where the split is that forms AI. AI is nothing but a split, guys. This is telepathy. This is you and I talking telepathy, but that whole infrastructure has been built out on our telepathic plane. And these new vaxes can distort those planes. They can access them, they can distort them, they can diminish them and feed it into AI. And it's just, whether it was otherworldly or the depth of human fear, there's only two possible culprits. And what they did was so nasty. This host of debilitating ailments has perpetuated forth from the vaccines, because you can't tamper with a closed system. Putting it in the interstitial fluid is especially dangerous because that can't be purified the same way. It stays isolated from the blood in your interstitial fluid, and that's why it's so hard on the neurological systems. I just thank God we're still in a world where we can deny vaccines. Again, I get it. You think polio's coming back, you think, but they were all created at, oh, we've got this now. We can target this system. Let's get these vaxes into these people. Isn't it funny how at the advent of vaccines, we also had the polio? No, it was all vaxxed in. It was all vaxxed in. Somebody loosed polio to justify the tampering of vaccines. And vaccines can alter the energetic framework within the human being so well, because now that they're going around undetected, remember, that was the true essence of what they unleashed behind the covoid, was packaging everything in an oat protein that mimics the blood and remains undetectable from the immune system. So it stays in your system, this package of information. And if it in the code is the counter codes to any of your basic human vibrational coding, you're screwed. You're diminished. You live a life that's totally diminished. Yeah, no, I realized the rest of my God realization when I was touched by those people from afar and forced to solve those logical equations and pulled out of my life so many times so violently for acting with full responsibility as a civically engaged Canadian to de-escalate violence I saw happening. Oh God, it was hideous. It was a hideous, hard-won battle, but I won it. And I nullified a very important part of the QR code that is never going to come back, which is great because these people are not the people we want holding our bank information, because they're the very ones that introduced all the fraud into the internet. They are the harbingers of the internet who clamped down on that technology and tried to own it, made a ridiculous amount of money off it, and generated a huge amount of debt off of it. Because we all go into debt to pay for it, right? And then this debt gets created, and such bullshit. But they're the ones that introduced fraud and sold numbers and did all sorts of crap to make the internet unsafe, all while hoarding it, something that should be a public infrastructure. A very sure a certain level, a modicum of dignity. We need a modicum